We are here learning the Sefer Pituchei Chotam from Rabbi Yakob Abuchazira, Zichra Yagan Eleinu, Parshas Lecha. We begin. You read these psukim about the war between the 4 kings and the 5 kings, and as you read it, it's a great story, and there's a good pshat. But you feel when you read it that there's something more going on here. And tonight, Rabbi Yaakov will share us kedarke b'kodesh, give us insights into the fight that we have constantly. Here we go. Shteim esrei shana, avdu es kedlaimer. So the 5 kings were serving the 4 kings. They were working for kedlaimer. Ushlois esrei shana, in the 13th year, maradu. They rebelled. Ba'arba esrei shana ba kedlaimer ha'malach masharitay. In the 14th year, kedlaimer and the kings that were with him, the other 3, they came Yaku esrefayim ba'ashtrois karnayim v'sazuzim bahem v'sa'imim b'shavei kiryasayim. They did damage. Okay, that's the Pashup shot. We know, look at the years, when we've been learning Pituchei Chotam a little bit, so when you see numbers and you see years, it all of a sudden strikes a different chord. So think of the numbers and what they represent. We have the years, 12 years, 13 years, and then a 14th year. So we know that the Yetzer Hara joins us as we leave. La Pesach Chatas Revetz. At the Pesach, as we're coming into the world, Chatas Revetz. The Yetzer Hara is already with us. Instinct is, we're born with instinct. And the Yetzer Hara is there. And he doesn't have a very difficult job the first couple of years of our life. Because before you have bar mitzvah or bas mitzvah, das has not been immature. So he doesn't have to put such up a hard fight. And more than that, there's no Yetzer Tov. He doesn't have to combat anybody. So the Yetzer Hara really has it's easy for him. When the things get tricky, when does he have to pull out his guns? That's by the year 13. So, Shteim esrei shana, avdu es kedlaimer. The Pasuk tells us for 12 years they served kedlaimer. Okay, so what are these 12 years? The 12 years are the first 12 years of a person's life. Who is kedlaimer? So kedlaimer plus his letters equals 571. Yetzer Hara plus the koil meaning, Yetzer Hara equals 570 plus the word itself gives us another one. So kedlaimer is the Yetzer Hara. Okay. So for Shteim esrei shana avdu es kedlaimer. For 12 years they are serving kedlaimer. Who's they? The heart, the eyes, ears, mouth, and hands. And Rabbi Yakob in an earlier piece describes how the 5 kings correspond to each of these limbs. And that's the Shteim esrei shana. They had no choice. Avdu. The Yetzer Hara had the better of him, and our instincts followed the Yetzer Hara. So our heart, our eyes, our ears, our mouth, and hands were following Avdu. We were subservient to kedlaimer, to the Yetzer Hara. Ushloish esrei shana maradu. We became bar mitzvah, we became bas mitzvah, we were given a Yetzer Tov. The Yetzer Tov says, I had enough of this. I'm breaking free. I want to use my heart. I want to use my eyes, my ears, my mouth, and my hands to serve the Rebbeinu Shalom, to learn the Torah, to daven. So maradu. Ba'arba esrei shana, but in the 14th year, not ba'arba esrei, ba'arba esrei. That means he hasn't stopped fighting the Yetzer Hara. 12, 13, 14. He keeps going. It connects. The Vav is a connector. He's connecting all these years. What does he do now? Bakad la'omer. He realizes he can't do this fight on his own to fight against the Yetzer Toiv. So he's got to bring he's got to bring the Malachim with him. And who are the Malachim? So Rabbi Yaakov tells us, remember, we mentioned in Parshas Bereshis that maybe it was before that the Yetzer Hara has 7 names. And that represents 7 different ways that he comes at us. So Kedla Omer, the Yetzer Hara comes with 3 of those. Him being the Yetzer Hara. He comes with Amrafel. Amrafel is the koyach of Michshol. From the word Amrafel is like to be neifel, to fall. So that's the beginning of his battle. He gets us to fall in Averus. Then we get to Aryoich Melech Elasar, and that's an Evan. We become stubborn. Al Sar, I will not change. Evan. Kedla Omer Izra. The Sidl Melech Goyim is the koyach of the Yetzer Hara of being an Orel, of being uncircumcised, of being like the Goyim, of leaving God. We're done with him. So the Yetzer Hara, as he sees the Yetzer Toiv has come to fight at 13, he comes out with the Malachim Asher Itai. He comes out with the gang. And what does he do? Vayaku. He hits us. Refayim Asher Karnayim, Zuzim, Baham, Sa'imim, B'Shvei, Kiryasayim. What are these? He hits us in so many areas. First, he looks for the weak. Nirpim, he finds what we're weak in, and he gets us there. Ba'asher's Kanaim is a lashon of Oisher and Keren. Oisher is wealth. Keren is principle. So he goes after the wealthy, and he tells you got to make sure you have more money. You got to make sure you have more. Just be busy all day. Don't rest for a moment. You have to build a fund. It's not enough to have what you need, says Rabbi Yaakov. And then he goes, Hazuzim. Those who need a zuz, the poor people too. And he says, Chavra, you can't take off from work. You can't make time to learn. You can't make time to daven. You need to work. Baham, he strikes them in hum. It's like Bahem. It's for all those people. I'm not working for me now I'm working for them, says Rabbi Yaakov. That's another Atzas HaYetzer. And then there's another group of people he attacks. That's the Amim. Amim is from a lashon of Ema. People who use fear. In their haughtiness, they cause people to fear them. To the extent b'shavei kiryasayim that everybody before them is equal. They cause such fear. That is the koyach of the Yetzer Hara. That's what he brings out, and he tries to get us. That's the war of the 4 kings of the 5 kings, trying to subdue and to take all of our koyches and use it in his service. And our job is to fight back. Our job is to keep strong, to not let him beat us, and fakert, opposite, to use our Yetzer Toiv to subdue the Yetzer Hara.